Hello YouTube, this is Chaos Rippin'. This is another episode of Sudeki Grind Level Up. You know, man, like last episode I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily the greatest episode, I guess, but I'm not looking at stats either. So, you know, I'm just going off of things that I talk about and stuff like that. You know, I try to keep it light, you know, fun and things of that nature. Because I'm basically grinding like crazy. So, but I'm hoping everybody's having a blessed, wonderful, fantastic day. I'm hoping everything in your day is just going wonderfully. And yeah, like I'm just hoping for the best for you, you know. Oh man, I'm trying to figure like what will be an okay thing to talk about. What is it? Whoa, what's this? I didn't know this was here. Look. Oh, I can't wait. I can't even go for it. I can't go for it. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna wait till it's a regular episode. I know where it's at though. That's all that matters. But yeah, man, like, oh man, like, what could I really talk about that would be at least interesting enough for you to give up maybe a half an hour of your life? Because, you know, if I just talk about the gameplay, all I'm really trying to do is just level up at least once. And then that's it. Like, I think everybody right now is at, like, what, 19? Okay, so everybody's over 20 for the most part. So, okay, wait, take that back. So, Echo and Buki are at 19. So if I get them up at least one, it'd be great. So yeah. Oh goodness gracious. What would be a decent thing to talk about? Because I literally just kind of think about what I really want to talk about for the most part. One, because I don't want to do any. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want to do a boatload of editing. I don't. Call it being lazy or whatever, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it already. Let's see. Let me see. What would be a decent thing to talk about? Like, for real. Because I've talked about relationships for the most part. I think I've talked about, like, money. I think I have. At least in one of these episodes, one of the other grind episodes, I probably did talk about money at least, and like, you know, have your 5 friends that are in your life. You know what? I'll try something else this time. At least try. Not necessarily what I like talking about, but I'll give it a shot. Self-improvement. It's okay for you as a human being to choose self-improvement just to make yourself better. Where I see the mistake a lot of people try to do is they try to put it on the internet so it can be, you get clicks and likes. Real self-improvement is usually done by yourself most of the time. When you're trying to be better, when you're trying to do better. You know, like if you're trying to learn a different language just cause, you know, or you're trying to, I'm I want to make sure I say this in the right light. You are trying to learn how to control your temper. Where for everybody else, it's easy. It's child's play. For you, it's like the hardest thing in the world. And when you conquer it, only you will get the victory. No one else. I mean, it's good for your family, granted, but a lot of times it's like an empty victory for everybody else. You know, it's like, oh, you should already know that. Not everybody's the same. Like, a lot of times, I'm not talking about like losing your temper, but like what's easy for one person might be hard for another. Like, I know somebody right now that's a bona fide genius, but they have flaws maybe in other areas of their life, you know, which I'm not going to bring up, you know, in case they've ever watched this. But they have other flaws in other parts of their life that if they would improve, man, it would be monumental. But it would be monumental for them. But they got to see it as, you know, worth giving their time. You know, because when you're in your element, you don't realize that you have a flaw. But when let me see skill. Let me see something right quick. Hold on. Let me see out there. Everybody's dropping this thing like crazy. So let me see. Because everybody's dropping it like crazy. So a lot of the times I'll be like, okay. And I'd rather get something that, you know, is getting used like crazy anyway. Healing ornament. Okay. And that way I don't end up making a stupid mistake or something like that. But anyway. Yeah, like, you know, self-improvement is a hard thing to do. It's a lonely road a lot of the times. And the payoff is wonderful, but it's more for the individual and not for everyone else. Like, you got to do the work for you. A lot of solitary time by yourself, you know. And it's not easy, and it's not the most, oh my goodness kind of thing, you know. So it's, and don't get me wrong, it's not all the time, because, you know, people who have problems, stuff like that, a lot of times will go into groups and stuff like that, and they'll be there something good. You know, it can be more than one thing, you know? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I'm not saying that just to be politically correct. No, I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I remember when here's funny, I was trying to teach myself how to box, okay? There was somebody I met, you know, I ain't gonna get into too many specifics because it might give them away. But I met them during my travels, you know, going back and forth to work, right? And, you know, oh, you know, I know how to box, I know how to do this, that, and the third. And I'm like, cool, you know, I can learn. Boom, boom, call it a day, you know. Now, a certain thing happened that made me kind of veer off. Like, nah, I don't want to deal with them. Because something that they did, you know, was kind of, well, you know, it was an attribute of theirs that was so negative. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing was their fault, or, you know, there was no cure for whatever they had going on, and then one day they came to my, why don't we go there? They came to somewhere where I usually just hang out at, and, you know, I knew folks at the time, and they wanted to get something for nothing. I'm like, can't really do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know these folks, and you know, they let them, just check out what they were going to do, and then nothing illegal, but just kind of hang out and chill out. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, you're using people, and I'm cool with that. After that, I have not met them since. But I remember they taught me a couple lessons. Biggest lesson I'll never forget was, best way I can put it is to duck. Right? Like, you would figure ducking would be easy. You just bend your knees and you duck. But no. I'm talking about how boxers do, bob and weave, right? And stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm great at it because I haven't done it in God knows how long. But the basic concept is you would find a chair, a regular size chair, like a chair you get in a church or something like that, like a regular chair. A chair that you can move around, whether it be a regular chair, okay? As long as you can put your foot on each side of that chair, and it's not too low to the ground. It's kind of like one of those metal chairs you see on wrestling, or that magical white chair that we will not talk about. You know what I'm talking about? That kind of chair, the little fold-out chairs, right? You would first have to learn to lower your center. You have to lower yourself, right? To like you're sitting down. But you wouldn't plump all your weight on the seat. You would just lightly touch it and then stand up, right? First, learn how to do that. Usually, you have to have a wide base to do that, right? Now, here's the caveat. 1 foot in front of the chair, 1 foot on the side of the chair. And then you do it, right? Well, why is this? You said, go ahead. So, right now, I think at that point, I was sitting at a bench somewhere, right? So, most benches, like a wooden bench that you see in a park, pretty wide. So you can't put both feet, on each side of it because, most wooden benches, I make sure I say it correctly, are too wide, because they're made out of wood and metal. So, since the seat was so wide, I had to give them the right side. I had to walk to the right side, put my right foot back and my left foot forward. And then I'll get to the left side and put my left foot back and my right foot forward. And he said, when I tell you to duck, duck. I said, okay, cool. He swung his hand out right when he said duck. And I said, okay, cool. And it cleared. And I said, man, you almost hit me. He said, yeah, that's the whole idea. I said, man, that's cool. Then I found a seat, like an actual chair, and I started practicing just that one move, right? And I'm like, yo. And he said, now watch this. Do that same motion, Well, let me caveat this. He taught me something else. He taught me how to move, right? Because, like I said, this is boxing, so it's basically like basic footwork. He said, are you southpaw or are you orthodox? Or are you orthodox or unorthodox? I said, what's orthodox? Are you right-handed or left-handed? He said, I'm going to say I'm right-handed. Okay. So you want your left hand out. Okay. Now, when your left hand is out, your left foot got to be up front. Just like when you was doing when you're sitting in the chair. I said, okay, I understand that point. When I tell you to move forward, your closest foot to moving forward, move that foot first. I said, what? Basically, you usually step forward, right? He said, yeah. So your left foot is forward, right? He said, yeah. Don't step with your right foot first. Step with your left. I said, okay. I step with my left foot. And he said, okay, now, before you bring your foot over like you're about to walk, because most people, when they move their foot from right to left, one foot goes in front of the other. He said, no. Just keep it behind it. Keep that right foot behind and keep the left foot forward. Left foot first, then the right foot. But you want to keep them in the same position, right? Just like when you're in the chair, right? So, oh, okay. So it's like you're shuffling forward. So if your left foot goes forward, your right foot steps forward, but it doesn't cross over, because when you cross over, he said you will trip and fall and you lose balance. You're keeping a balanced base, right? You've seen them in videos now. you step with the left and then you come back with the right, you know. Or if you're unorthodox, you know, you step with the right, you know, and then you come back and then you go forward with the left. It's a shuffle. Okay. He said, okay, I understand the shuffle now. I'm walk every time I walk somewhere, I'm walking somewhere, you know, I'm doing that, right? Orthodox and unorthodox. I said, okay, what I want you to do next, and this is after, this took a while. I said, I want you to twist your body to where you're looking at me. He was in a certain position where it made me go from orthodox to unorthodox, right? Which means instead of me leading with my left, when I twist my feet, the balls of my feet towards him, I end up being an unorthodox, which means my right was leading now. So you see that? See, yeah. So now all I do is just like a slight, barely a slight change, and now you're orthodox. And then go back into unorthodox, so back and forth, twist, shuffle, you know, keep your hands up, of course, you know, and then, you know, duck, you know, the way he taught me. He said, now I want you to follow me. I said, what? Follow me. Wherever I go. If you got to switch up, you know, orthodox. If I tell you to go unorthodox or whatever, do it, whatever. Keep your hands up, you know, and whichever one is your lead hand is your jab, and whatever is your backhand is your cross. Okay? So, okay, I understand. So he got, you know, he's teaching me little by little, and I'm learning as I go. So I'm like, yo, wait a minute. So everything is transitioning into itself, right? And then sooner or later, you know, I end up shuffling forward, but he said shuffle forward, but he had his hand out. He said shuffle forward, but duck under my hand. You said, okay, I'll duck and then move. He said, all in one motion. What? All in one motion. So I would shuffle forward, I would duck and shuffle at the same time and move forward. So it'd be all one motion. Right? And then he also said when you breathe, make sure that your stomach is tight. And when you move, breathe out. You know, when you move, breathe out. Okay? Like, you know? So I said, okay, all right. And keep your stomach tight. So when I did that, I shuffled forward, you know, and ducked, shuffled forward, and moved all in one motion. He said, there you go, right there. Simple, plain, and to the point. Simple body mechanics. You know. And, you know, it was kind of, for me, it was kind of trying to get murked. It was out of my comfort zone, you know what I'm saying? But it was something new, and it helped me when I'm bringing it back. It helped me with my self-improvement because I didn't just use that for boxing. I tried to do like Muay Thai and even a little bit of karate, and I used to try to put all of it together. Like, how would this go into that, and how would this go into that? Come to find out that karate was mainly made, and I'm not hating on any Japanese person. No hate. Like karate was kind of made, you know what I'm saying, because of boxing. You know what I'm saying? It's a story behind it. Of course, I didn't know that back then. I'm gonna say that right now. I'm just talking about what I found on the internet. I don't know if it's true or not, so I don't know. I wouldn't want to mess with anybody that does karate because that, you know, you get injured that way by just talking crap, and I don't want to talk crap. Okay, so but yeah, like, you know, karate fist, and I looked at how they would breathe, and they, instead of they're breathing out, they breathe in. You know, which kind of made them a little tougher in certain areas, you know, because there's pluses and minuses in boxing, and pluses and minuses in wrestling, and all this kind of stuff. But I wouldn't have learned a lot of that if I wasn't introduced into that by, you know, unfortunately. I mean, fortunately, you know, fortunately, learn what I could learn from him. But after that, I just stopped. Like, I got around folks who did Wing. I kid you not. I have a good friend of mine, 2 good friends of mine that do Wing Chun. One black, one white. And I have no problem saying one has leg problems, but he was good at Kung Fu. Which, hey, I ain't mad at that at all. Like, I never disrespect anybody who, even with whatever elements you got going on, you're still able to be a great martial artist. And then the other one was he wasn't no hood dude. He was just a black guy who was, he trained and worked, and it showed. He did karate, and I think he did Wing Chun and other things, but he wasn't caged by one style. It was like, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm practicing, and people could tell that he practiced. But he had his flaws like everybody else. I think he was at the time, not saying he is not this now. And I still have not sparred and beaten him yet. But, I think he had a weakness in boxing because of the, boxers most of the time, they full contact. I think he was still used to the karate way of doing it. It's like, tag kind of thing. Not saying that, because Shotokan karate, that's full contact. But I don't think he was doing Shotokan karate. I think it was more like Taekwondo. Not hating on it, though. Let me say that right now. I am not hating on it, because them kicks, woo! Them kicks! Just saying. But in saying that, I wouldn't have learned all the little ambiance of kicking and stuff like that without him, without the other excellent gentleman. But I wouldn't have had a understanding of it if I didn't take those boxing lessons from old boy, right? The self-improvement, right? And I remember doing boxing. I used to not like boxing. I don't like the trash talking. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it in any sport, for real. Like, that's the only reason why I started watching the one, not UFC, but the one, I mean, UFC is like MMA. I guess one MMA. You know what I'm saying? Corporation. I think they're based in Japan. Or Korea. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not a pro at this, so I'm just saying. I watch most everything on Facebook. So it was on Facebook, and everybody who won, it was like they gave a handshake, and that was it. I rarely ever see anybody talk trash. I don't know how. I do not know if they do that now. I have no idea. Okay, but the one thing I liked about one was they didn't talk crap. They just fought, and then that was it. For me, I didn't care about that. That was not my thing. Okay, I wanted to watch the fights, learn from them and move forward. That was my big thing. I wanted to move forward and be better. I would watch boxing, but I couldn't watch certain fights, even old fights, because they talk crap and it got bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say the legend's name, but the trash talking got so bad I couldn't even watch it. Like, I want to enjoy my day. I want to enjoy watching the fights and watching legends go at it. But the trash talking, it just turned me off. And even in UFC now, they're great fighters. Hands down great fighters. But I just couldn't get into the trash talking, But I've noticed that a lot in mixed martial arts, that martial arts would meld into each other, okay? Like, a guy who did, case in point, a guy who did wrestling could do jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? A guy who did, karate, a guy who did boxing could possibly do Muay Thai. A guy who just did Taekwondo could do capoeira. And then they could transition into other things. Stand-up work. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who didn't know how couldn't do, a person who just did not want to do groundwork could do stand-up, I think what they call it, stand-up defense. Like, you defend yourself from going to the ground. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times. You're in your defense. I don't know the exact wording behind it. But that was basically a thing. I think and you know you would stay on your feet regardless, and your whole technique is you're not going to get me on the ground. You know, and I know I'm not trying to name it the wrong way, but that's just basically what it was. So, and like I said, there are different elements to MMA and, you know, stuff like that. But the transition between all of it, for me, was like, okay, I learned how to box. I might, like even Wing Chun, you know, has his strengths and his weaknesses, right? And you could see it when Ip Man will go up against a boxer. You know, big, you know, you would think, oh, you can do all the kicks and stuff like that, but the mobility, you know what I'm saying, would be so great on some occasions that he would get rocked, you know, real bad. So, in saying that, you can learn, like Bruce Lee figured it out, like, okay, I can do this, but if I can use fencing, right? And in fencing, the footwork is similar to boxing to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even realize that until I looked at it when they're like, yo, the way they shuffle their feet forward and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And then you can use that to do, you know, shuffle forward and jab and, you know, and right cross depending on what's going on, or shift over, and you can pivot your foot. I mean, you can pivot your body, and you know what I'm saying? Like, and like I like all the arm strike, like in Muay Thai most of the time when they throw their elbows, the same way they throw an uppercut is the same way they throw an elbow up. You know, a right cross, a right elbow. I'm trying to think because I don't want to get murked by these dudes. Trying to think. Like even the combinations that you would get from time to time, you know, whether it's a combination of Muay Thai and Wing Chun, the way that they go into one another is phenomenal. All the way phenomenal. So I see the connection between the two, and when it broadened my horizon, I didn't look at fighting as brute, beat people up. It's like, okay, well, how can I learn? How can I be better? Like even with Capoeira, it has its strengths and weaknesses too, you know. And you can use Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Capoeira. They both come from almost the same place to a certain degree, so why wouldn't they? But the self-improvement came by switching in between all the style, and that's just combat sports or combat in general. You can do that with, you know, with just self-improvement of yourself, whether you want to learn to read, write, want to learn how to talk, all that kind of stuff. You have to be willing to have self-improvement as a part of your life, and sometimes you have to do it by yourself. A lot of times I shadow boxed by myself a lot. I messed up both wrists. Messing around with the bag and not paying attention and thinking everything's cool. Messed up both wrists on a heavy bag, and the heavy bag wasn't all that heavy. It's like maybe 50, 60 pounds, maybe a little less than that. But I hit it the wrong way and it messed up both wrists. But I learned to shadow box, and that's when everything started opening up. So, but I'm hoping everybody's had a blessed and wonderful time. I'm hoping everybody has a blessed, wonderful day, night, or evening, whenever you're listening to this. I'm hoping that I was able to at least broaden your mind when it comes to self-improvement. Not for combat in general, but just self-improvement, you know? Making yourself better. So with that, I'll say thank you and have a blessed, wonderful, and fantastic day. Peace!